Nearly every MTG set nowadays comes with precons, and those precons come with unique cards, generally 30 to 40 brand new to Magic the Gathering cards that are printed straight into those commander decks.
These are cards that are not printed in the main set, and so if you're not focused on the commander decks and digging through to find out what the new singles are, you might miss these cards, which is the point of the video, which is to not miss these cards.
The Bloomburrow ones you don't want to miss them. Enormous shout out to all of our little critters over on our Patreon. You are the bloom in our burrow, and we couldn't do it without you. Y'all are the cutest creatures around. You all get one boop on your snoot each. Jake and Joel Magic is brought to you by Card Conduit, the best place to sell your cards on the internet. TCG Players, the best place to buy them. Drip Shop, where you can catch us live, giving away a ton of product, auctioning stuff off, cool signed stuff in the store. Go follow us over there, sign up, and get some free credit on the website.
And also Dragon Shield for sleeving all of your cards. We've been using Dragon Shield forever. We don't plan on changing that. And also MTG Stocks for tracking the long-term price of your cards using their premium service. You can set notifications and get the most out of your collection. And then finally Moxfield for organizing all of your decks.
We're also powered by our Patreon. Go check it out. Get involved with our community on a deeper level. See if there's any tier that interests you, maybe a perk, and you want to grab it. Go check it out, see if it's a good fit for you. Jake, let's talk about some commander cards, and we'll start here with Alchemist's Talent. This is a new class that was printed right into the red-green raccoon make trash do smash precon. 1 red, 3 other. When it enters, you create 2 tapped treasure tokens, so you're getting a little mana back on what you spent to cast it. For level 2, you pay 2 mana and upgrade it. Gives treasures you control tap to add 2 mana of any one color when you sack it instead of just 1. And then for 5, when you upgrade it to level 3, whenever you cast a spell, if mana from a treasure was spent to cast it, this class deals damage equal to that spell's mana value to each opponent. You could just throw 1 treasure at a huge spell and ace everybody for like 4 or 5 damage super easily.
Yeah, this is extremely strong. Treasure is a synergy that honestly drives me crazy. Not gonna lie. I honestly hate how treasure has affected the game. But that said, it ain't going anywhere. No. So yeah, this card is probably going to be an absolute house. I know how it feels when someone casts a Dockside or an old Gnawbone and they just run away with the game. It takes the game from fair to, oh, you're playing in an entirely different realm that no one is even close to. And yeah, being able to just tack on damage by throwing a treasure into a spell that's being cast, yeah, it seems extremely good.
Super brutal, man. It's absolutely punishing.
And next up, we have Calamity of Cinders. 2 red and 5 other for a spell that has Convoke. What do we know about Convoke? Well, Convoke is extremely good. Looking at you, Hogak, Convoke Delve, that got banned for warping all of Modern for an entire season, or actually a couple months before it was emergency banned. Calamity of Cinders deals 6 damage to each untapped creature. So being able to convoke this and cast it for a little bit rather than a lot is the reason this is on the list.
Yeah, you can hide 7 creatures in this spell cast. Tap up to 7, make sure 2 of them are red, and then you are dealing 6 to each untapped creature. There's going to be some that are tapped because they attacked or whatever, so you're not going to catch everything. And there are going to be creatures with 7 toughness or higher. However, those are going to be pretty rare. 6 is going to catch the vast majority of everything as long as it's untapped. I think it's more likely that this one misses by seeing a tapped creature instead of it seeing a, like 7 toughness or more.
Sure.
This one's going to do some damage, though. Nice way to take advantage of going wide. Communal Brewing will also help you with your creature decks. 1 green, 2 other enchantment. When it enters, any number of target opponents each draw a card. Now, I typically don't like stuff like this, but I think the payoff is worth it. Put an ingredient counter on Communal Brewing, then put an ingredient counter on it for each card drawn this way. So everybody's still alive. You're going to have 4 ingredient counters on this after you've cast it. Whenever you cast a creature spell, that creature enters with X additional +1 counters on it, where X is the number of ingredient counters on Communal Brewing. So just on the floor of this, you give every opponent 1 card to have all of your creatures enter with 4 +1 counters on them. And that's before you start proliferating ingredient counters. because I'm assuming a deck
Wow.
that is doing this will be able to proliferate pretty easily.
It's a very group hug thing too, because you're giving everybody a card, so you're not putting anybody too far ahead. And yes, it's a 3-mana enchantment that must be answered, because now your Llanowar Elf is coming in as a 5/5, right?
Seriously, it's crazy. And that's
Or actually,
another...
it would be 3 counters, right? Since
No,
you have
it's-
3 opponents.
Well, no, you put one on it, and then you put on it for each card drawn.
Oh.
So you put one on for
Yeah.
yourself too. Yeah, so
And it's not a
you were
May,
right.
so they can't
Exactly.
elect to not draw a card. So
Got
yeah,
to.
you're gonna get like a 5/5 out of a 1-pip, mana
Yeah.
dork.
It's nuts. The only thing that would make this card even more busted than I think it already is if it was whenever a creature enters. So that all of your
Yeah,
creature
yeah.
tokens and stuff could be
Yeah,
getting
your
all of these
tokens.
counters. That would be
Yeah.
bonkers nuts. Play Captain the Watch after you have this on the field. Everybody's coming in with 4 counters. Anyway, very bonkers. Make your creatures big. I think that one's going to fly under the radar for people.
And then we have Evercoat Earthin here. 1 green, 4 other for 6/5 trample. Hideaway 3, meaning you're going to hide away twice here, which means you're going to look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile 1 face down, then put the rest on the bottom in a random order, then you do it again. Now, it has to deal combat damage to a player, and if you do, if there are cards exiled with it, you may play one of them without paying its mana cost. So Hideaway is going to allow you to dig, possibly find really big stuff, and then with this card cheat it out. So pretty cool.
The combat damage that you have to deal much easier because it has trample. 5 mana, 6/5 trample. Any other text on there, I'm just like, dope. Upside, big beater creature. And in Commander, you need some extra value tacked onto your big beater creatures, just because, playing even if this was a vanilla 6/5, at least with trample, we'll call it French vanilla, it's trampling 6/5.
Very easy to
1
get
green,
through
5.
with trample too.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be playing this in Commander. You would need it to have some extra value here. I also love when there's a keyword that they just put on a card twice, or like 4 times, like Apex Devastator just says Cascade, 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 Cascade. I love when you see Hideaway 3, Hideaway 3. It's just, it's really cool to see that on cards when they repeat keywords like that can take it. Yeah, I think it's a fun little beater creature. Get some extra value out of a creature that'll be connecting in your maybe Power Matters beat 'em up deck. Fortune Teller's Talent is kind of playing the opposite direction. Less beat 'em up, more think 'em up. 1 blue for this enchantment class. You can look at the top card of your library at any time once you've got this on the field. For 4 mana, it levels up to 2, and as long as you've cast a spell this turn, you can play cards from the top of your library. That includes lands because it says play, not cast. Then you pay 3 mana, level it up to 3. Spells you cast from anywhere other than your hand, hint, the top of your library, cost 2 less to cast. There's also more kinds of spells casting from anywhere other than your library. Any sort of impulse draw, any sort of free cast, any sort of cascade, that sort of stuff. Now, you wouldn't care about a cost reduction on cascade, but you know what I'm saying. Fortune Teller's Talent offers a lot of potential for a couple of different archetypes. I think that this one could have some play in different types of decks.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, Command Zone, it mitigates your commander's casting cost by 2. And I do like that you can kind of storm off with it in some kind of capacity here. I mean, if you've cast a spell this turn, you may play cards from the top of your library. So yeah, I mean, you make sure to play the land off the top. And
right.
Yeah, I feel like this card could really do some things. Pretty cool little card.
Very twiddly blue type class.
Next up, I love the art on this card. We have Jacked Rabbit, 1 white, 1 other, and X for a 1/2 Rabbit Warrior. It has Ravenous. This creature enters with X +1/+1 counters on it. If X is 5 or more, draw a card when it enters. Whenever Jacked Rabbit attacks, create a number of 1/1 white rabbit creature tokens equal to its power. So if you get this thing jacked up, get that power going, you can really go wide with it very easily.
Yeah, I like this one in equipment decks, funny enough, because you can either cast it with the Ravenous late, but I feel like the downscaled version of it plays better in an equipment deck because you could cast it just for 2 as a 1/2, pump up its power to even 5, and we're attacking and creating 5 1/1s that we can also then attach equipment to. Obviously, it's really good in go wide, any kind of Anthem, overrun type strategies. This is great. And then again, the scalability of this ability Ravenous, I think the first time we saw this, or the last time I remember this, I'll say it that way, was Warhammer 40k. I do believe that we had some way back, maybe a Lara block, maybe around there. There was some keywords that were similar to that. Devour, things like that. But I remember this one mostly from Warhammer 40k because it's that 5 or more draw a card. You get to scale it into a big creature that lets you draw a card when it comes into play, which is huge for creatures. Any permanent entering the battlefield, really. Replacing itself in your hand, really, really solid. So I think Jackrabbit is going to find some homes.
I like that it's a warrior too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. Wide applicability. Murmuration is an all-in-one package. It's a meme. It does everything you need, and it could synergize with other archetypes as well. 1 white, 4 other, 4 enchantment says birds you control get +1/+1 and have vigilance. I know. Stay with me. This is generically good. I promise. It's not narrow. Because it says at the beginning of your end step, for each spell you've cast this turn, create a 1/2 blue bird creature token with flying named Stormcrow. Whoops.
Yes.
Except that's a 2/3 Vigi bird creature token that you're creating, basically. So you cast 2 spells, 3 spells in a commander game every turn on average.
You know, in those kind of decks, you can really get out of control and just peck at people with your flyers that build up, and the card looks like a win condition to me.
Yeah, it does have some win conditioning stuff built into it because you've got the ability to, make your 3rd or 4th spell a board wipe. And then you create 3 or 4, 2-3 birds and pass the turn, and you're taking over. Really fun. I like an enchantment that's going to just spit out creature tokens, especially ones that fly and have vigilance.
Next, we have Perch Protection here. 2 white, 4 other for an instant, and you have to gift an extra turn.
Craziest line of text.
Right? Create 4 2/2 blue bird creature tokens with flying. If the gift was promised, all permanents you control phase out, and until your next turn, your life total can't change, and you gain protection from everything, and you exile this card. Big effect. I do like that it exiles itself, so you can't really abuse it, but it keeps you protected for a while because it's your next turn. So you're gifting someone an extra turn. It can be a very political card. Seems like a very clunky card for people to play around. I don't think it's it seems very vexing, right? Like, this is something that's like, even though I'm getting the extra turn, I'm like, okay, but I still can't do anything to you.
Right.
And in a game of Commander, that can mean the difference. I know what it's like to be, around like turn 5 or 6, and you thought the game was going to be like, a grindy one, but really it's very close to being over.
Right.
A card like this can just, it can swing a game.
100%. In back-to-back Commander play day months, where we play Commander with the Patreon all day once a month, back-to-back months, Nico, when I was presenting basically You're About to Die, just lethal on board, everything in Nico, wipe him out. Teferi's Protection. Suddenly and out of nowhere. And I end up not winning. And so this to me reads like double Teferi's Protection, basically, where you get this way extra stuff. You have to do this way extra stuff. But I really think that this could be a huge play, and a really fun huge play that is just like, all right, I'm at death's door. I'm gonna pray to the birds, let them fly in Lord of the Rings style, save the day. Why didn't you just fly me to the mountain in the first place? I had the ring, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
And then it eventually becomes your turn again, and probably your opponents are dead except for one.
Except way better, and because it costs a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, the more redundant kind of effects like this that come out, it kind of gets to like a danger zone, right? You really don't want a ton of stuff like this.
I think it's why
around in Commander.
I couldn't agree more, and I think it's why they cost this one at 6, and they didn't give you. There's no like convoke on here. There's no this spell is reduced by the number of creatures you control. Permanent. There's none of that. It's not like
you have to ramp to it, or you have to use mana rocks to do it.
You're gonna have to leave, if you want to leave 6 mana open. If that's your game plan, is stay open with your 6 mana instant.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
All right. rock and roll. We'll see
Yeah,
how
I
it
think
goes.
it plays alongside, it kind of it's on the card, right? 2/2 blue bird creature tokens. So
Right.
I think it does play alongside blue. You
Yep.
know, if you're running all the usual suspects like your Mystic Remoras and your Rhystic Studies and your Smothering Tithe and your Esper Sentinel and
Sounds
your
delightful.
untap pass, just so that you can be the guy who's like, well, mana drain on that thing. I want 10 of your mana. Then yeah, this probably goes in your deck.
I like it. I think it's going to be a fun one. I also like Pyre Swipe Hawk because it can take things. We're into the not fun cards. These are the mean strategies, apparently. 5 mana, 2 of it red, 4/4 elemental bird with flying and haste. When it attacks, it gets +X/+O, where X is the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. Right now, there's a part of Jake's brain that just went, Imsker? Imsker?
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, whenever you expend 6, gain control of up to 1 target artifact for as long as you control Pyre Swipe Hawk. Just for spending the mana to do something else. I'm also going to grab your artifact. That's mine now. And when Pyre Swipe attacks, maybe it hits for even harder. This one's cool, man. It does a lot of stuff.
This is honestly very good. I do like the haste on it. The haste is what does make me want to consider it. If I'm playing a deck that has Darksteel Forge or Metalwork Colossus or Colossus of Akros or any of those kind of spells, this coming in as a 4/4 and then suddenly becoming a 14/4 and cracking in with haste is really attractive. And there are a lot of very big artifacts in that deck because it's a pile of mana rocks we're trying to get Imsker out, and so having big payoffs is important. So
but think about your floor,
Colossus,
Jake. Think about the gaps between your floor and your median. +X/+O, where X is the greatest mana value among artifacts. 4 mana, an 8/4 flying with haste. Yeah, I'll take that. That's pretty sick as well. And that is like way more consistently. You're gonna have a 7 or 8 power flying haster that, oh yeah, by the way, if I spend 6 mana after this thing is out, which I guess you could do, Jake, because look, oh my god,
yeah, Worm Coil, there's tons of
no, I've just noticed this. Whenever you expend 6, this is a 5 mana spell, so you expend 6 as you spend your 6th total mana to cast spells during a turn. So you could cast this for 5, spend 1 more mana plus and steal a thing and then attack with this. I love this bird even more. I just loved it. I just learned to love expend even more a little bit, even there.
Pretty cool here how they built that so that you could do the expend pretty much immediately after playing the card as long as you have 6 mana open.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Cool bird. Neat. Cool bird.
Rolling Hamsphere. Wow, dude. This takes me back to that movie Critters where all the critters kind of turn into a ball and then they roll around the town and eat people. 7, talking about a big splashy artifact. 7 cost for a 4/4. It gets +1/+1 for each hamster you control. And whenever it attacks, create 3 1/1 red hamster tokens. And then it deals X damage to any target where X is the number of hamsters you control. And it has crew 3. So you want this thing to get through so it doesn't get blocked and get killed. But it is going to be very big because on the attack, you're creating the hamsters, which is going to immediately make it a 7/7.
Right.
So it kind of reminds me of a hamster battle sphere, like a mirror battle ham,
I
that.
think that's the reference here. And that's pretty much where I'm at. So many decks can use, if they want to, a mere battle sphere as like a top end piece for them that I look at this and I go, well, it's that but cute tax. Like it's making hamsters and it's a hamster ball, and it's like this one I feel like will become the one that people, I'm not saying this like card's gonna explode into the atmosphere price wise. I'm just saying that this will become the like, I can accept either one here. I'm gonna go with the cute one that has a hamster with a sunflower.
I wish that the hamsters were artifacts. I'll just say that, but it is what it is.
You're right.
For that reason, it's probably not an include in my artifact kind of strategy.
Like big artifacts.
Yeah, it's cool because it costs 7, so it's a nice big splashy artifact, but the fact that the tokens it makes are not artifact creatures kind of bums me out.
That is a very relevant note on this one. Those creatures that it makes are really irrelevant to anything but itself.
Sure.
And so you do lose some
it grows
sideways
itself,
synergy.
which is cool.
Yeah. No, I like it. I still like it as a big old creature, and I like this one as a little tiny creature. Mana dorks. This is the age of the pushed mana dork, Jake. We have gotten so many pushed mana dorks in the past 365 days. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But Trail Tracker Scout is the latest one in what will become a long line of pushed mana dorks at 2 mana. 1 green, 1 other, 1/3, add a mana of any color. And when you expend 8, spend your 8th total mana to cast spells during a turn, you return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Just for playing the game. Here you go. Have it back. Enjoy. This one's crazy to me.
Yeah, we love a mana dork that gets better as the game goes on.
Seriously.
And this one certainly does. You are going to, if it stays around, you're going to be using this dork to float mana and help you get to that expend 8. You're in green, so if you're ramping, you're going to be in an even better spot. I could see all of these, I could see this card going in pretty much every red-green deck. Sometimes I talk about this, how red-green will run out of gas. I see it all the time.
Right.
And so, you know, having a card like this that's like, when I play my big beater, when I play this big spell, now I'm getting something back from the yard. And I think that this card is extremely strong.
Any strategies like Muldrotha that are intentionally running permanents that sacrifice to achieve their effect. Any type of aristocrats style build, Abzan aristocrats style build, that's going to be sacrificing a lot of permanents, wanting to return, you know, things that create creature tokens back to their hand and then go away and then return with Trail Tracker Scout. I think that this one's got some fun play. These are going to be these ones that ride under the radar, Jake, but we got a nice little splashy one here. No pun intended.
Yeah, I love this one. 20-toed Toad. Shout out to Tom, who plays all the frogs. He's in my local meta.
What up, Tom?
He's extremely stoked on this card.
Hell yeah, you should be. This card is dope.
Yeah, 1 blue, 3 other for a 3/3. Your maximum hand size is 20. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, put a 1/1 counter on 20-toed Toad and draw a card. And whenever it attacks, you win the game if there are 20 or more counters on it and you have 20 or more cards in hand.
An attack trigger, dog.
Yeah, man. Attack trigger.
That's
on
so good.
Attack.
You give this thing haste.
This is really cool. It's just like it's a frog wizard. I like that it's a wizard. They give it a relevant creature type here, but I don't think the creature types really matter that much on this card. You know, I know to Tom they do because it's a frog, but I think that this card is really cool. It gives you an alternate win con. I love cards that say win the game because people like to brew with that. They like to kind of figure it out. I know that in my decks, I like running an Approach of the Second Sun just because it's like, you know what? F it, man. If we get there, we're just gonna
If you let it happen, let it happen.
You know,
you got 3 people and 7 cards down that you know it's coming. Let's go. It's on. This is on you. This isn't on me.
Like, you thought Joel was the threat. Well, I just cast Approach, and so now I'm in the running here too.
Somebody better
so
mill
cards
me.
like that are cool.
I agree. Completely agree, Jake. I was reviewing this deck when I was upgrading them for that upgrade video, and I was like, group hug. Look at the first card. Look at the second card. Third card, 20-toed Toad. And I went, now wait a second. This is I like where we're going with this. And it became this more of like big card draw deck in my mind than it is a big group hug deck. I totally changed it. I definitely got comments of like, you took all the group hug out. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking did. But 20-toed Toad, very fun. Love this art. Look at all these tadpoles around it. This is a card that I can't wait to just like play and look at on the battlefield. This is the kind of Magic card that really like makes me love playing Magic because I'm excited to brew with it. I'm excited for it to be in decks, play it, and see it on the battlefield. Just wins all around.
Riku is a card that came out in Thunder Junction, where I was like, I want to put this together. I still haven't got around to it. But it's a modal card that has counter synergy. It runs stuff like Branching Evolution and Doubling Season because of the counter synergy and because of the tokens that the commander creates as well. And this is a perfect card for that. It's not a deck packed full of frogs, but this frog would definitely go in that deck because as I'm using this ability, I'll use, Riku's ability to put more counters on it,
Exactly.
get to this effect faster. I know that this card is an absolute lightning rod. I do kind of wish that it had like hex proof on it. I think that would be cool, but I know that that's really,
well, you know what they
asking
did
for a lot.
And the one piece we didn't talk about with this card strategy wise is that it says whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, you get the counter and you draw the card. 20-toed Toad doesn't have to put itself into danger until it's ready to. And so I see what you're saying with that, but honestly, 4 mana or less, I'm happy to play a flag bearer at 4 mana or less, because I'm putting this in here as an alternate win con to begin with, as a secondary backup support to whatever my commander's trying to do, probably anyway. And so 4 mana flag bearer that's going to be drawing me cards in the meantime. Yeah,
bro, if I have expendable creatures that are going to be swinging either way, yes, this thing just sits and draws me cards every attack phase, and it doesn't do anything else. And then yes, at some point, if it gets to the point where it's like, oh, increasing savagery kicked, and then I'm like, let's go.
There we go.
And now I'm putting a bunch of counters on this card, and on the attack, that's like
when that's where you're like,
I'm
going to do this. Okay, that brings 20-toed Toad's total counters to 22. Move to my attack phase. And that's where you should win.
Do something before combat. Do something before combat.
Exactly. Anybody got anything? Because as soon as this thing attacks, it somehow kills all 3 of you.
Yeah, man. I really like it with increasing savagery, because that just comes out of nowhere. And if you do have a doubling season or like a branching evolution, that's just game.
GG.
Yeah.
We spent the most time of the whole video on this frog. That's awesome.
20-toed Toad. Yeah.
All of these beautiful people, all the Patreons, that they got some sleeves. The Dragon Shield sleeves are what they got. They got.
I still need to order my sleeves.
Pick their color, and get free sleeves. That's what you get if you are at this tier. Like all of these lovely people whose names you're seeing here, is a free pack of JAJAM custom Dragon Shields. You just got to pay for shipping.
Unless you're me and you forget to order your own sleeves.
Jake, I had to get it on a deck, man. I was like, we got them around MH3. I'm gonna put my MH3 deck in it.
I need to find these sleeves.
The ripple foil. But yeah, man.
I need to find. Yeah.
We appreciate
really nice.
all of these people who would probably have sleeves well before Jake does. Enjoy having something that is exclusive for our channel that Jake doesn't have, but you have.
Shout out to Gold Sabretooth for the dope art, by the way.
Appreciate it. Go check out the Patreon. There's a lot of rewards at a lot of tiers. Have fun. Love you. Bye.